Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Soft Rebellion. My name is Zindatu and thank you so much for joining me. Today I want to talk about failing publicly. I made a mistake at work. Well, I suppose the mistake was a couple of months ago, but we only found out last week that we didn't get this project. And the reasons for that is because there was an important document I forgot to attach, and that disqualified us out of the process. Now, someone told me this and I could have kept it quiet, but that's not how I operate. So I had to be accountable and talk about it. And let me tell you guys, it was not easy owning up to that mistake, especially because I've made mistakes before. And in my head, I thought I would have learned from this mistake and been more meticulous. And I'm trying to remember, why did I ignore this requirement? I've got all these questions in my head and no answers? All I know is that I've got to deal with the fact that I failed and to deal with the humiliation that comes with that and the guilt that comes with that, because it's a 2 million rand mistake, and it's not easy as a small business. Like, we could have used that money. It was important, okay? But I made that mistake and I had to own up to it. And today I have to show my face at work and shake off the feeling of failure and shake off the mistake I made, because I can't be preoccupied by that going into the new, and working onto the new project and everything. I have to put it behind me. But obviously I need to remember the lessons that I've learned from that mistake. And it got me thinking about this process as well, and why it is I was feeling scared to start it. And I realized it's because I am afraid. I'm afraid of being seen trying. I'm afraid of failing and failing publicly, because so many people in my life now know about this process. They know about this podcast. And if suddenly it disappears, then I will have been a failure, and I'm afraid of sucking at something new. This is not something I'm skilled in. This is not something I'm trained in, that I've thoroughly researched to know what makes it succeed and what makes it fail. All I know is that I like sharing my thoughts, and apparently I'm eloquent too. So I decided, why not just record it in this platform? But the reality is I am scared of failing. I am scared of being seen to be trying as well, like, especially because, people support you the first time and it's exciting. But people also have their own lives, they'll be fatigued, and you can't always count on the people in your life and the people in your circle to be supporting, because they've got their own interests as well. And rightfully so, they don't have to align with mine. So I can't always draw from those people to support my thing. So this is nerve-wracking for me. And there's so many things I've tried as well that have been just as scary, if not more. I remember last year when I signed up for paddle, and I was joining this Eastern Cape Xhosa League group to play paddle with it. I sucked, guys. I barely knew how to hit a ball. My form was not okay. I didn't know technique. But all I could do was just show up every Friday. I just showed up. I spent my money to sign up for this game. I showed up and I played and I got better. And I would follow these pages on Instagram and on TikTok that would show you how to improve your technique. I remember this one video would teach you about anticipating where the ball would land. If you hit it in this particular way, it's most likely gonna land this way. And let's say to return the ball, if it hits the glass, you need to wait for it at a distance so that you're able to return, those kind of things. And this is something I learned by showing up every day, and by doing this thing, and by investing time, money, effort, and energy into it. So I'm prepared to invest just as much, if not more, on this podcast. But the cost of it, the cost of starting is sucking. Unfortunately, the cost of being a beginner at something means that I'm going to do it so poorly, and I'm not going to be an overnight success, and I'm not going to be great at it. I need to invest time and money and effort in it. I need to pay my dues. In business, they call it paying your school fees. So I need to pay my school fees. And this is me paying my school fees. This is me being a student again. This is me learning something and being prepared to not be great at it, because I understand that with time, with effort, with money, I do need to invest money into this, unfortunately, to promote it, to market it, and to improve the experience for my listeners as well. I need to invest all of those things for me to get better. Otherwise, there's no learning, there's no growth, there's nothing, and I think being able to do things even when you're scared is such an underrated superpower, because so many people are scared and they let that fear paralyze them into not taking any action. They let the fear of not starting, of not wanting to be seen trying, of failing publicly stop them from actually pursuing their dreams. And I hope this encourages you today, sharing about my failures. Guys, losing that project was not easy, especially because these past few weeks have been so difficult, and just losses after losses after losses. But the best you can do is just show up every day, and try and do your best and learn from your mistakes and try to do best. My boss has always emphasized putting guardrails to make sure that, there's quality checks. And all of that was in place, but just sometimes mistakes happen and there's no explanation. The only thing you can do is just try to be better next time. And that's all I can do, I just need to show up my face and try every day. And I hope you guys can do the same as well in your own lives, in pursuit of your dreams. Because for me, the alternative is just not imaginable. As difficult as this journey is of being in a startup environment, of even starting this podcast, and as potentially humiliating as the failure of this is, the alternative is scarier. Not being able to express my thoughts in this way, to record them, is scarier, because this process also helps me work through some of the feelings, some of the thoughts that I haven't yet reconciled with. A mini therapy session for myself, if you will. So not being able to do that for me is unimaginable. And through this process, I did indicate previously that I meet like-minded people. I found a community of people who have made me feel normal, have made me feel like, oh, I'm not just a freak in the world. There's a lot of us who think this way. There's a lot of us who've experienced some of the things I've experienced. So I'm not alone. And that reassuring feeling, there's nothing quite like it. And I hope me sharing about, my own failures, my own mistakes, encourages you to go after the things you want fearlessly. Or maybe go after them with fear, go after them even if your knees are shaking, even if you're trembling, even if you're scared to the core, because the alternative is just scarier, guys. Like, can you imagine living in a world where trying was more scary than failure, because you are guaranteed to fail if you don't try. You know what I mean? If you don't put yourself out there, you don't do anything about, the things you want, your dreams, your interest, then you're guaranteed to not get those things anyway. But imagine if one day this actually works out, we land this super big business at work that just changes everything, changes the trajectory of my entire life, of my family's life. And this podcast succeeds as well, and it becomes this massive success. And for me, massive success is having 1,000 followers, and maybe being hosted by Spotify. That would be insane. Can you imagine? And I'm just sharing my dreams publicly with you guys because, it would be so insane to be sponsored by podcasts, like, or partner with them, and they give me like a studio environment where I get to record my shows, and not just record an audio but have a visual or a video attached to it as well, and then get to have paid ads. And I know that's gonna be annoying for you guys, where you're listening and you really like in tune into the conversation, and then a random ad comes. You know what I mean? Or getting to partner with some of my dream brands like Dove, or I don't know, like exclusive books, and they want me to review some book. Like how insane would that be? Or getting dressed by some of my favorite brands. I don't know, like Poetry or Rich Factory or Country Road, for an episode. That would be insane. But none of that would exist without without me starting here and me pushing through that fear of failing publicly. So yeah, let this be your encouragement. Let this be your push to dream publicly, to push past that fear, to be seen trying, even if you're afraid of it anyway. Because without the trying, without the fear, there is no success. There's no dreaming, or rather the dreams aren't realized into reality. They will forever be dreams. There will forever be these things that are up in the sky and you can't reach because you aren't taking the steps to get there. So yeah, this is my encouragement today. If my voice sounds funny, it's because I just woke up and I've just been ruminating about this thing, but I want to get it out of me. The failure at work now is what I'm referring to. I really want to leave it out in the universe and release that feeling of failure and not hold it within me, because I need to move on. I need to focus on what's next, and I need to learn from those mistakes and not beat myself about it. So yeah, that's why I keep saying this process is a kind of therapy for me, and I hope it becomes that way for you too. I must give a shout out. Oh my goodness. Speaking about small wins, I must give a shout out. I've got 2 more countries that we've added into the podcast. There was Finland. I forgot which other country as well. They're in Europe, and I'm like, insane, because how did someone in Finland find me? So if you're listening today, welcome, and thank you so much for joining. Share with your friends and family. Guys, this is so exciting for me. Every small step is just so exciting, because what? Okay, I'm gonna end this now. I do have to get ready for work. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for learning with me, going through this process with me. I hope you get something out of it. I've seen reviews as well. I think it's from a friend of mine, my label. But yeah, if you guys, would like to leave a review, please feel free to do so. I get so excited when I see these little things. And they're making this podcast real. Like, I can't believe we're all co-creating this podcast in real life. Insane. But anyway, yes, I do have to get ready for work. And thank you so much, you guys, for joining me. Really appreciate it. And I don't take this for granted. Please enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you on another episode. Bye.